Record. Well, cool. I am so excited, you guys. Welcome to Roundy's Rants, Raves, and Reviews. I am joined by Jerald Simon. Am I saying that
Correct.
correctly?
Yes.
And he's got a new book coming out. He's a musician and he teaches piano online, which is an interesting thing I want to talk to him about because COVID was interesting for me on that one.
Yes.
And, and also about just who he is as a person and his message for all of us today. So, Jerald, will you tell us a bit about who you are and what you do?
Thank you. Well, I began as a piano teacher and I love teaching piano lessons. Initially, when I started teaching piano lessons, at first I was classically trained. So I'm very comfortable with Chopin, Rachmaninoff, Liszt, all of the great classical composers.
My heart's joyful.
And I love it. It's wonderful. But there were so many classically trained piano teachers out there. I wanted to differentiate myself a little. So I began teaching jazz and blues and rock and pop and new age and how to arrange and compose music of your own. And so I loved it and it was wonderful. My company is called Music Motivation. So of course, I like to inspire and motivate people through my music and my writing. But what happened was I started coming out with music books. And I actually came out with a series called Cool Songs for Cool Kids. And we did primer level, book 1, book 2, book 3, Cool Songs that Rock. Well, what had happened, these were actually composed during piano students' lessons. Since my company is called Music Motivation, parents and piano teachers began sending their piano students to me who hated the piano and wanted nothing more to do with piano lessons. So all of a sudden, I went from having around 40 piano students to, at my busiest time, I had almost 100 one-on-one piano students, which no one should ever do.
No.
I was teaching Monday through Saturday, 10 to 13 hours a day. At the time, we have 3 children, and my oldest daughter, she's actually 19. She's on a mission for our church in Hawaii right now.
Oh, wonderful.
And loving it, having a wonderful time. She was just a little baby at the time, but I had so many students, and since they all hated the piano, or they thought they did, nothing worked. And I began composing more and more piano solos during their lessons, where I would tell the students, you can tell me what style or what genre of music you would like me to create and compose. I will not only compose it during your 30-minute lesson, but I will notate it, print it out for you, and then send it home with you. And then all I ask is that you then perform it for family and friends.
Practice
Learn
it.
play
Yeah.
it. That you, because you're telling me what style you want, you're telling me what key signature. And so each of these, they have 21 cool songs is what they became known as, because they were composed during piano students' lessons. And I would actually go through based on what they told me. This one right here is Game Over. And the piano student said, I just want to play music that sounds like video game music. And I said, okay, that's fine.
We can do that.
Let's do that. And I said, you tell me what to play. And he played 4 notes on the piano, C, A flat, F, and G. And it sounded weird. And he said, he thought it was a game and he was trying to stump me and trying to, and he said, you try to compose something like this using these notes. And then he said, but with the right hand, I only want to play C and G, 2 notes with the right hand. And I said, that may sound really weird, but I said, we'll try it. And I composed something for him. I printed it off. It was Game Over because he wanted it to sound like video game music. I sent it home with him. And a few days later, his mother called me and I thought, oh no, here we go. And she said, I don't know what you did during his piano lesson, but I can't get him off the piano. All he wants to do is play the piano. And she said, he keeps playing this piece over and over again. And I said, well, it's called Game Over. I composed it during his lesson. And she said, he's playing it for family. Fred, she said, I don't know what you did. But she said, now I'm trying to get him off the piano because that's all he's doing. And he showed up the next week to his lesson. Not only had he mastered the piece, but he brought a friend with him who wanted to start taking piano lessons. And I mean, it was a good problem to have, but at the same time, I thought there are only so many hours I can
Hours in the day.
have in a
Yeah.
day. So I began coming out with more and more books and albums, and I started doing a lot with motivational speaking. And I've always loved poetry, and so I've written several poetry books and poetry that motivates. And I have a book, The As If Principle, Motivational Poetry, and they just feature original poems that I've done. And my newest book is How to Experience More Peace and Positivity in Life, the 30-Day Challenge, to help people truly understand how they can actually overcome many of the trials and temptations and all of the tragedies of today. There is so much doom and gloom, and there is so much focus on negativity. And that is what, unfortunately, sells the media. They try to push all of the terrible things that are happening. And so I want to focus on positivity and overcoming
Mhm.
all of the poisonous pessimism that is out there, and trying to help people and in a 30-day challenge realize how they can actually start to become more faith-filled and less focused on fear, that they can start to see the good in everyone around them and stop trying to tear each other apart. We see it on social media. We see it in the world with neighbors and family and friends. There is so much combativeness, and it's affecting people physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so, with this 30-day challenge, I try to include my motivational poetry and music I've composed and different elements to help individuals focus on peace and positivity every day.
That is so cool, and it's so needed in this world today. I agree with you completely. That's one reason why I started this channel, and the things that I've been doing is to help bring that positivity in the world and give voice and a platform for it. Because I see my students every day, and being a teacher and having taught and everything for years, it's like all you do is hear the negative. I can't do this. I can't do that.
Mhm.
And the news is everywhere. Just and they play up on it. You're right. It's
Yeah.
feed on it. That's where the money is. And
And they want to tear people apart. They want division.
yeah,
They want to have opposing ideas and views, because what it does is it escalates emotion. And again, it is something that it pushes politics. It
yeah,
sells media stories. But instead of focusing on all of the terrible, frightening, horrible atrocities that are occurring in the world, if we start to look at the good, if we start
mhm,
to realize this individual, though I disagree with what they believe or with what their views, politics, whatever it may be, they're a human being. They're a child of God.
yeah,
You can find the good, you can bridge the gap. And unfortunately, there are so many gaps separating society today that it really is tearing people apart, tearing families apart. And
yeah,
that is why, with this, I wanted to help inspire people to experience more peace and more
peace.
positivity in life. So,
And we know people are seeking it because we see places like Angel Studio. We see
mhm.
places, good grief, BYU's The Doing Good show with Kirby Hayward just won
Right.
an Emmy. People are seeking out that positivity. They want to see more of it. They want to feel more of it because they don't like the way it feels. But yet there's so little, or they don't know where to go find it or where to seek it out because it's just there. And I love that you're even making like a challenge because everyone wants a challenge. And for some reason,
Right.
if it's a challenge, we're more likely to
Yeah.
maybe take action on that.
And I wanted it to be a challenge where they could challenge themselves to see the best within themselves and to bring that out. And
Mhm.
first, focus on improving their positivity. And then they can start to look around the world. In this book, on the very opening page of the 30-day challenge, it says, "This is your time to improve and progress as you never have before. You can and will become better today than you were yesterday. You can continually strive to be even better tomorrow than you are today. This is one of the most treasured gifts you can receive in life, to experience peace and positivity and then freely share it with everyone." And that is what I'm trying to do with this book and with my message, is to help people understand that you can actually go about doing good. You can see the needs, and everywhere, someone, everyone
Mhm.
needs something. And we can actually share a smile. We can do
Mhm.
service. I usually tell people that the two universal languages, and it speaks every language, it is a smile and
Mhm.
music. Music
Mhm.
is the universal language. They may not understand the lyrics, but the music can move them,
It
and
speaks.
emotionally they can connect, and they can be spiritually strengthened because of the music.
Mhm.
Now, the smile, again, is a universal language because the smile connects and transcends language barriers, customs, cultures, race, nationality, geography. A smile, when you share that with someone, it's universal. So I've tried with this book to bring a smile to everyone and then to share peaceful relaxation music that I've composed to help transport people. And I've created videos that they can actually watch on my YouTube channel or on my website where they can actually see these calming, relaxing video images and hear the music that I've created and composed. And I even like to go out into nature and record bees buzzing. Or
Mhm.
you'll hear on some of the recordings, you'll hear ocean waves in the background. And it's from when we were on a trip in Cancun. Or you will
Mhm.
hear a gentle brook, and you'll hear birds chirping in the background from when we were up at Mill Creek Canyon. And so you'll hear all of these nature sounds, and it's me recording the nature sounds. And then I've composed music that I've
Mhm.
added to those nature sounds, and everything is set at 60 beats per minute. Our heartbeat actually responds to rhythm.
Mhm.
So what happens is when we hear music, and composers who compose for movies, they know this. They'll start out
Mhm.
very slowly and then they'll speed up and get faster and faster until we scare ourselves.
Mhm. Yep.
And so with this, I brought the tempo down to 60 beats per minute, slowed it way down so that the heartbeat can be at a calm, resting rate, comforting, relaxed. I even have drone tones that are according to the chakras,
Mhm.
that it's a grounding tone according to the
Mhm.
key signature, to help the individual really connect and just feel the calm and peaceful feelings and sensations that music can bring to enhance their lives.
I love that. Music has been such an integral part of my life, and it's been my language since I was born. Our family sang songs. My dad played. I was taught piano when I was like 4 and 5 years old, and I always just sat down and played. And I'd have a bad day at school, and I'd come home and I just played for hours. I had a separate room. I could just go and I just sat and played and played and played, whether it was music, my own music, whatever it was. It's just so comforting to me. And then nature too.
Yeah.
I don't like to go live in nature anymore. I'm too old, but I love to go. I loved going to girls' camp. Most of my poetry was written sitting around a campfire or sitting out in the middle of trees in a field
Yeah.
or a sunset. Nature and music to me have been helped me become closer to God than
Absolutely.
any other spiritual experience aside from being in the temple itself sometimes
Yeah.
has brought me so much closer to God in so many ways. And I actually really love that it's not just words that are in your book, but you're actually including that music, that making this a visceral and holistic experience
Yeah.
for that piece. And what gave you that idea to bring this all together this way?
For me personally, growing up, I mean, I, of course, love music and I love nature, but I loved using all of my senses, as many senses as I could use. And of course, some individuals are better learners because they're audio learners and they learn better by hearing something. Others learn better by feeling and kinesthetic touch. They need to hold something in their hands. Other people, of course, just looking at something, they get it. They need
Yeah.
the visual. They're a visual learner.
Yeah.
But everyone learns in a different way. If you can combine as many of the senses as possible, you will learn better, faster, and you will retain more of what is being taught because you are immersing yourself in the subject. And I think that is a key difference. It's because I wanted to, yes, have a book that people could read, but then I wanted to have music they could listen to. Every single day, there are 30 days, since it's a 30-day challenge. We have a preface and an opening, and then every single day is structured the same way. We have, like, day one is create your own heaven on earth, and that's the theme for day one. And then I talk about how to do that, what they can do to make their home feel more like heaven on earth, their thoughts that they think about, the words that they speak, the actions that they do, that everything can be elevated, where instead of this celestial kingdom, this earthly estate, they can raise their thoughts and words above and elevate who they are and who they want to become because they're trying to be more heavenly. It's
Mm-hmm.
trying to be more Christ-like. And so
Mm-hmm.
we have words of wisdom that we go over. And then I have motivational poetry. Here I have for day one, create your heaven on earth. It has a challenge, and it says the video challenge is to watch my video, Heaven on Earth, from my album, The Dawn of a New Age, and also Peace of Mind, a separate piece that I composed from my album, Peace and Serenity. So they have two songs that I composed. Each one has a video. They can either watch that on my website, empoweredbypositivity.com/peaceful-videos, or on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Jerald Simon. But then I have a few paragraphs explaining. And this says, I believe we can turn this earthly abode into a heavenly home. It takes work, sacrifice, discipline, and dedication. But we must be heavenly if we expect a little heaven on earth. This includes everything from what we think, how we speak, what we read, what we watch, and ultimately what we do. Our actions speak louder than words, but we often do outwardly what we have already thought inwardly and even spoken about, read, and watched others do before. Everything we think, say, and do must be done focusing on positivity, or we will quickly slip into the quicksands of negativity. And so I have just a little paragraph to explain about that. And then it goes into a motivational, inspirational poem that I have. This happens to be from my book, The As If Principle, Motivational Poetry, and it's titled If Only. And I'll just quickly read it to you. It says, If only. If only men would humbly admit the faults and wrongs they've done. If only children remained innocent, uncorrupted as oft they become. If only lovers remained in love, never quarreled, bickered, or fought. If only strangers wouldn't feel estranged, unwanted, unloved, and unsought. If only women were treated as women, as angels sweet and divine. If only people would treat each other with that same thought in mind. If only there were no poverty, no homeless or hungry or lost. If only we helped each other out, regardless of what the cost. If only we paid more attention to the problems and needs that abound. If only we cared more for others, how much love in our lives could be found. If only we wept more often and let our souls sing out. If only we laughed out loud now and then and befriended and served our fellow men. And so I have a motivational poem, and then I go through and we have thoughts to think about, and we have a daily challenge to change for the better. And every day is broken down following these simple, it's a format
Mm-hmm.
on how to improve and experience more peace and positivity every single day.
I love it. And it is so simple sometimes we overcomplicate things. And I love that you've broken it down just to some simple things we can do. Just even thinking about things makes us recenter and realign ourselves sometimes. We just need to be reminded that if only
If
we
only.
would do these things, that would be doing that.
Yeah.
This is so beautiful and aligns with everything I've been thinking about, especially in the last couple of months with everything happening and stuff.
Yeah.
What and who has influenced you in your life to get you to see these things and to become where you're at right now?
It's interesting because for me personally, I have always loved reading scripture, reading self-help books, reading motivational books. I grew up, my parents, my father and mother, it was fascinating. Every time I went to my father for advice, he had been a seminary and institute teacher for our church, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And every time I had a question, he would open scriptures and say, let's see what it
What the
says in
scripture
these
says.
scriptures. Let's go to the Bible. Let's
Mhm,
talk about this. Let's go to whatever the scripture was, book one, whatever. He would say, let's see what the scriptures say, or let's see what prophets and apostles say. And my mother, she was very spiritual, but she loved motivation self-help books. So
mhm,
anytime I would go to my mother for advice, she would say, let's see what Augmendino has to say about this. Here's a book by Augmendino. Or let's see what W. Clement Stone, or she would just have me read these different self-help motivational books. And I loved it. And a lot of what I personally have applied, it's been from looking first and foremost to God
mhm,
and Jesus Christ, the scriptures, prophets, apostles, past, present, but also going through, for me, it's been studying and learning from the great and wise women and men of today throughout history. I love being inspired. I would rather focus on optimism than pessimism. I would
mhm,
rather be surrounded and filled with light than wallow around in darkness. And I think there is so much darkness, whether it's mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in our world. There's so much anger, so much strife and contention. And instead of coming together and then seeking to understand each other, so many people are just attacking each other. They're attacking each other both physically and verbally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so, what I have tried to do with this, a lot of my own personal writing, it's reflective of, I believe, scriptures, scriptural writings, prophets, apostles, but also I was very inspired by Augmendino, C.S. Lewis. I have a new book I'm coming out with next month. Actually, it's
ooh,
my first fictional book. And
uh,
I've written a few different fictional books, and I have one that is titled Perceptions, Parables, and Pointers, and it has all these short motivational stories. But this book is titled The Musical Realm, and it's going to be
mm,
my first full-length fictional book, over 400 pages. It's a non-fictional story, and I usually tell people, imagine C.S. Lewis meets Augmendino. And that's
all
kind of
right.
the best way that I can describe what
Yeah,
this new book is going to be like. So that will be
uh,
coming out next month. But
that'll be fun.
it's interesting because I really want to focus on positivity.
Mhm,
My company is Music Motivation, and a lot of the writings, it's innovative improvisation, trying to creative composition, music theory for my music books, and it's all about creativity, trying to help people become more creative. And I believe that we are all creators. We have a
mhm,
creative power within us, but that needs to be fueled by faith and positivity and optimism. And it needs to be enhanced by seeing what good we can do and then doing it. Benjamin Franklin actually, every morning he would wake up, and I've read everything Benjamin Franklin has written. I love
he's amazing.
founding
Yeah.
fathers, and
Mhm,
Benjamin Franklin, he would usually write down a question. In the morning, he would read it. What good shall I do
today.
this day? And then in the evening, he would usually write down another question, and then he'd respond, what good have I done today, this day? And that's what we all can ask ourselves. What can I do today to help others? How can I contribute? And go about seeing what needs to be done and serving others, lifting others when they have fallen, loving others when they need my love. And I think that is the key. It's paramount. We need to do everything we can to go about doing good and being good.
It's amazing too when we go outside of ourselves and we start thinking about others and helping others, how much we forget the negativity in our own world and our own lives. And we start to see what we have and the goodness. And also helps us to remember and who we are as children of God inside, I think, when we start to see that outside of each other. It's so funny because I working in a junior high right now and having worked in high schools and the public education service for 20 years now, it is so hard to get them to see that creativity and that they have something to contribute because so much of this world says you don't have anything and you shouldn't be creative. And here's a checklist and here's, let's tell you what to think. And my whole career has been, what do you think? Why? What can you create? Where's your imagination? And they just look at me like, and it's so difficult for them to, but once they do, how proud of themselves they are to have had that creativity. And then the next thing I say is, okay, go out and, like I say, give someone a smile. It's a, if you never know who that one person is, and you may never know how it impacts them.
Oh,
Because that a story to what you were talking about with smiles earlier is when I was younger and I was in having that middle school experience of being bullied and stuff like this. One person did just smile one day at me, and the difference that that made in my life and turned that day around to make it, it saved me that day.
yeah.
And we never know the influence we're going to have on someone, but when we go outside and we ask ourselves, like the church hymn, have I done any good in the world today? It is always there with me. It's like, what can I do to help others? And it gets so caught up, and the world is all about you. And I love that you're saying what you're teaching us here and helping us to see is to go outside of ourselves and see
Yeah.
what can we do to help others.
And it's looking beyond. We get so focused on me, myself, and I.
Hmm.
And that is one of the biggest tragedies because we are so self consumed and even become self absorbed that we don't realize everyone has problems. Everyone
Okay.
has good days and everyone has bad days. And like you said, with your experience when you were younger, someone, without even thinking or even knowing what they were doing, they changed you and your day.
Hmm.
And we have the opportunity and the privilege to help others to bring out the best within them. And it can be as simple as smiling, saying
Hmm.
hi, telling someone how wonderful they are, complimenting,
Hmm.
helping them to see the good within themselves that many times the rest of the world, as you mentioned, they're trying to beat the individual down. They're trying to tell them what to think. But we should be helping people understand. We want them to know we are trying to teach you how to think for
Hmm.
yourself, to think creatively. And your story reminded me of an experience I actually had in back in high school. This is going back, a long time
We won't
in,
go there. Yep.
in the 90s. Yeah, we won't go there,
I think
but
you and I are about the same here. So,
yeah, yeah. So I had something fascinating that happened to me, and I was one that I would always just say hi to everyone. And I would say, "Oh, hi, how are you?" and talk to people. And even if I didn't know their name, and I have a twin brother, so
mhm.
many times people thought it was either me or my twin. So even though my name is Jerald, I became known as Simon, which is my last name. It became like a first name because so many people couldn't tell if it was me or my twin. And I would just say hi to everyone and talk to people. Years later, I can't remember if it was the 10, 15-year reunion in the early 2000s. I actually went to a reunion that we had at the high school, and I had this gentleman. I didn't really know him during high school. He was just one of the masses, and
Mhm.
he came up to me and he said, I don't think you really know me, but I want to thank you. And I said, thank me for what? And he said, one day I was leaving high school during the middle of the day and you were coming back. I was involved in choirs and band and theater and sports and different things, and I
All the
was
fun
I
things,
was
yes.
always gone, going to different events with different clubs and organizations. And so on one particular day I was coming back, and he said that as I was entering the school and he was leaving, I said hi to him and I smiled at him and I asked how his day was, and just told him I hope he would have a wonderful day, and told him to have a great day. I honestly don't remember. I did that. I know I did that with a lot of people, but I don't remember this one particular time when it happened. But what he told me next just almost shocked me. He said, I just have to thank you, because he said, I was leaving the school. I had been bullied. And he said, I was leaving the school to go kill myself. But because you said hi and you asked me how I was doing and told me to have a wonderful day, he said, I decided not to go through with it.
Mm.
And I think we don't realize how important and impactful the things we think, say, and do can be to change and transform people eternally, which is why we need to be so careful. We need to be so entirely purposeful with what we think, say, and do, and continue to see everyone not as they are, but as they can and will be. I'll probably butcher the quote a little, but Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I love
Love
philosophers. I
Goethe.
grew
Yep.
up studying all different philosophers, and Johann Wolfgang von Goethe said something one time, and I'm just paraphrasing, but he said, if we treat a man as he is, he will always remain as he is. But if we treat a man as what he could be and should become, he will be that and so much more. And it's looking at someone and looking past their mistakes and their failures and their insecurities and all of their weaknesses and their tragedies and their problematic past. We all have one, but it's looking
Amen.
past that and seeing them as who they really are, as who they can become, seeing them as God sees them.
Yep.
Bringing out that potential within them, because we can look past all of the sorrow, all of the terrible, miserable things that they've done. My children always hear me say, failure is a stepping stone towards success. When
I
we
love
fall
you.
down,
That's awesome.
failure is a stepping stone towards success. Don't think of it as failure. It's just a stepping stone towards success. And when we fall down, we get back up. And so we each have an opportunity to bring that out of everyone we meet, and our smile, our hello, our interaction with people every day. Not only can it change us for the better, but it can change them. They can become better. And part of this book is about becoming better today than we were yesterday, and striving to be even better tomorrow than we are today. And so that's what I hope to do with this book, is help people experience pure peace and positivity, but then share that with others. And we can stop fighting each other. We can lift and build each other up and come together as children of God.
Which we all are. And if we just remembered that, how much better this world would be just from that alone. So amazing. I'm so excited for what you're doing and how you're helping things. I'm thinking of every year that I've taught my students and all the things I've said. And I'm like, you're just like, I wish every kid had a parent like you. Is like, failure's okay, because I don't get that a lot. Even though I tell my students, I'm like, guys, failure's good. They're like, no, we're not. Mom and dad said I got an A-. I need to get that up. I'm like, not talking about that, but okay.
We live in a society where people have unrealistic expectations
Of themselves and others.
Yeah, in ourselves and others. And those unrealistic expectations, they allow people to view themselves as a failure, even when they are so wildly successful.
Yeah.
Even when they have accomplished so much or done so much, they still feel like they are not good enough.
Yeah.
And they're trying to reach something that is unreachable because of these unrealistic expectations. And part of it, society has created a fake reality that doesn't really exist
No.
with airbrushing photos and trying to show a perception of perfection that is not true, it's inaccurate, but then we compare ourselves with others and we
Yeah.
feel like we're not measuring up because of unrealistic expectations that actually don't exist. And
Especially when we look at the spiritual side, right?
yeah,
That they're
yeah,
not there.
no, absolutely.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was. If one of the prophets or apostles in a general conference talk is like, we're spiritual beings going through a mortal experience. And
Mhm.
that we got to remember that we're going to exist beyond this. And all this stuff here is great, but it's not the end of anything. And it's not anything we should be judging ourselves by in any way, shape, or means. And
Exactly.
so,
Yeah. And the several people have said this quote, but the quote is powerful, that every saint has a past and every sinner, and it's true of all of us. And so what we need to do is realize that the past is in the past. It's behind us
mhm,
for a reason. And the present, we need to realize it's called a present for a reason. It's a gift from God to
mhm,
help us put all of our suffering and trials and tribulations behind us and then do our best today. It doesn't
mhm,
mean we will be perfect,
yeah,
but we can be better today than we were yesterday. It doesn't mean that we're going to live a life free of hurt and suffering and sorrow and fear. We'll still have those, but
yeah,
we can be filled with faith and
mhm.
we can empower others that we can look for the best within ourselves and others and bring that out.
And focus on that today. That I think that's the other important part is that the future is ahead of us, but we can make that future with what we do today. But if we're always looking ahead, we're not actually creating it, or
Yeah.
we're not living in that moment to see. Because when we're looking ahead, we can't see the people right here and right now
Yep. Exactly.
and do that. And so being present, and I think your book's going to do that too, because it centers you into that moment right now, that
Yeah.
presence of being
And it's
right there.
focusing on just one day at a time.
Exactly.
And I tell the individuals, just focus on day one. Don't even worry about the rest of the months. The rest of the days, just focus on day one. Start and end each day with a prayer.
Mhm.
And then in the morning, you're going to read and talk about what you would like to experience. At the end of the day, you should always reflect about what you accomplished, maybe what you failed to accomplish. But you can look at the day and you can say, this day is done and
Mhm.
be done with it. I have I have several books that are in the works. I'm always coming out with different books, but I have another book that after I publish the musical Round next month, I have another motivation self-help book that will be coming out within a few months, probably first part of next year. And it is actually titled Stepping Stones for Success, Becoming Who You Were Born to Be.
Mhm.
And in that book, I even talk about this very topic a little bit. And I have two examples. I refer to Parley Past and Future Frank. And I tell people far too many of us are like Parley Past. We're either living in the past and we are reliving the glory days of yesterday, and we can't be present because we're either reliving all of our successes or we are reliving all of our failures, and we think that we don't measure up and that we can't make today any better because of what we did
What
yesterday.
happened? Yeah.
And Parley Past is just as destructive as Future Frank, because Future Frank, he's never present because he's only focusing on what's going to happen tomorrow. He's either
Mhm.
dreaming about his successes and everything that he's going to do tomorrow, but then he doesn't do anything today because he's so focused on the future, or he's fearing what tomorrow brings. And then he starts worrying about all of these problems that don't exist, that haven't occurred. And so he's either fantasizing about the future or fearing the future. And so he ignores the present.
Mhm.
And so we need to do
Oh, yeah.
everything we can to remain focused and present right now
Absolutely.
and to experience more peace and positivity every day.
Every day. I was just listening to Vinny and Lynn's Living God's Light podcast for this week, and they actually talked about this hour of power
Yeah.
where we set that intention in the morning, whether it's 15 seconds or 30 minutes, whatever it is, but we set that intention with prayer and with intentionality, what we're going to accomplish. And then at the end of the day, that reflection, and then putting things in a box that we can't do anything more about, or and getting ourselves present for that moment, ready for the next step. And that just aligned right there when you said that to me. I was like, oh my goodness, this is the hour of power. And it's all like coming together for me today of what I needed to hear. So it's beautiful that all of these things, when God's light is coming through all of us and we're all doing our part, they all work together. And we can use everyone's things and bring them all together to help us no matter what they are. I love that about it. I love that. Well, you've told us a lot about what you've done and doing. And guys, he's incredible. If you want piano lessons, apparently there's videos on YouTube that you can go and watch and learn. He's got books out. You can go and learn. I'm going to have to order some for my piano students, I think. I didn't know these existed. I'm like, some of mine might enjoy those as well. And then your book, we can get on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere books are sold.
Yep.
And your website.
And my website.
So your website one more time.
So my website is musicmotivation.com, but then I also have empoweredbypositivity.com. So those are my two main websites that I have. I have a few other ones, but we'll just focus on these two for right now. Yes.
Anywhere you want them to follow you on social media where they can get updates and information.
They can follow me on Instagram, instagram.com/Jerald Simon, and that is JERALD SIMON. Same thing on Facebook, facebook.com/Jerald Simon. So they can follow me on any social media platform. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Jerald Simon. And I would love to connect with anyone. I am trying to do everything I can to spread more peace and positivity. And as we each do our part to make the world a better place, we help each other, we strengthen each other, we come together, we grow together, and we experience true happiness because we are becoming one in thought, in word, in deed. And that's how we truly become more Christ-like. We become one as a society, and we have each other's best interests and thoughts in mind because we are focusing on their needs, and they in turn are focusing on our needs, and everyone's needs are met because we are going about selflessly sacrificing and serving and doing our best. And that's what I hope we all will do.
I didn't even have to ask your message. That was exactly what we needed to hear, and perfect. To this, guys, go check out Jerald and his work and spread light and positivity, no matter what your way is. If it's music, if it's art, if it's a smile, if it's cooking, whatever it is, share your light, share your joy, like, subscribe, and visit us more as we get to interview others on Roundy's Rants, Raves, and Reviews. Jerald, I hope you have an amazing day. And one of these days, I want to meet you in person and jam session with you because it's going to be fun.
I would love to. That would be fantastic.
That would be awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day, and everyone, we'll see you next time.
Thank you. See you later.
Thank you.